Admiral Hansol stood at the large window of Earth's Orbital Defense Command, watching the stars. It was supposed to be a quiet night shift, but everything changed when the emergency alert lit up his command screen. "Admiral, we're receiving distress signals from New Sol Colony." Lieutenant Jaewon's voice was shaking as she read the incoming data. "Multiple unknown ships have entered the colony's space. They're not responding to any communication attempts." Hansol rushed to the main control panel. The holographic display showed dozens of triangle-shaped vessels surrounding the colony. They were unlike anything humanity had ever seen before. "Get me a direct line to New Sol," Hansol ordered, his face growing pale as he watched the feed. Before Jaewon could establish the connection, bright flashes of light erupted across the colony's defensive shield. "They're firing on civilians." Jaewon's hands moved quickly across her console. "The colony's shields are failing." "Sir, there are 10,000 people down there." Hansol grabbed the command microphone. "This is Admiral Hansol of the Earth Defense Force. All available ships in the sector, respond immediately." "This is not a drill. I repeat, this is not a drill." On the colony below, chaos erupted. The alien ships deployed smaller vessels that broke through the weakened shields. They fired strange weapons that turned buildings to dust. People ran through the streets as emergency sirens blared. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the attacking fleet," Jaewon reported. The main screen flickered to life, showing a creature with gray skin and 4 eyes. "People of Earth," the alien spoke in perfect English. "I am Supreme Commander of the Arcadian Empire. Your species has expanded too far, too fast. This is our territory now. Surrender your colonies, or we will take them by force." Hansol's hands tightened into fists. "How did they learn our language?" he whispered to himself. Then it hit him. They had been watching humanity for some time, planning this attack. "Sir, the nearest defense fleet is 30 minutes away," Jaewon reported, her voice steady despite the horror unfolding on their screens. "But New Sol Colony won't last that long." Hansol made a quick decision. "Launch our orbital defense satellites. Direct all power to their weapons. And get me the President of the United Earth Government immediately." The next few minutes were filled with desperate action. The defense satellites fired their laser arrays at the alien ships, but their advanced shields absorbed most of the damage. However, it was enough to draw some attention away from the colony. "Colony governor reports they're evacuating civilians to the underground bunkers," Jaewon announced. "But we've already lost contact with 3 residential sectors. Estimated casualties, over 2,000 and counting." The president's face appeared on a side screen. She looked like she had just woken up, but her eyes sharpened instantly when she saw Hansol's expression. "Madam President," Hansol said grimly, "we are at war. An alien force calling themselves the Arcadian Empire is attacking New Sol Colony. They demand we surrender all our outer colonies." "Admiral, you have full authority to defend our people," the president replied without hesitation. "Whatever it takes." Hansol turned to his crew. "Send the evacuation order to all outer colonies. Activate the emergency defense protocol. And send word to all Earth's nations. As of this moment, we are at war." As he gave these orders, Hansol watched another building on New Sol Colony collapse. The aliens clearly expected an easy victory. They thought humans would be simple to conquer. Looking at the destruction below, Hansol made a silent promise. This attack would become the Arcadian Empire's biggest mistake. They would learn, just as Hansol was learning now, that humanity was anything but weak. "Lieutenant Jaewon," he called out, "log this in the official record. Date: March 15, 2218. Time: 3:42 Earth Standard. Humanity's first interstellar war has begun." The stars outside the window seemed different now. They were no longer just points of light promising adventure and discovery. They had become a battlefield, and humanity would have to fight for its very survival. Captain Yuna's rescue ship approached New Sol Colony through a field of debris. Her hands gripped the controls tightly as she navigated past floating pieces of what had once been homes and buildings. The colony's main dome was cracked but still holding, its emergency force fields keeping the precious air inside. "Status report," she called to her crew. The bridge of her ship, the Mercy, was filled with the sound of urgent communications and emergency alerts. "Colony's life support is at 40%, her second officer reported. "We have space for 300 survivors. Other rescue ships are 10 minutes behind us." Through the view screen, Yuna could see people gathering at the emergency airlocks. They carried whatever they could hold, many with children in their arms. The sight made her heart ache, but she kept her voice steady. "Begin docking procedures. Priority to children and medical emergencies." Back at Earth's Orbital Command, Commander Ta-hyun received the first military assessment. The news wasn't good. The Arcadian Empire had attacked 3 other colonies in the same hour. Their ships were faster than anything humans had built. "We need more time," he told Admiral Hansol over the secure channel. "Our ships are too spread out. If we try to defend everything at once, we'll lose everything." Hansol's hologram nodded grimly. "Then we make hard choices. Order all civilians in the outer colonies to evacuate to Earth or Mars. We'll defend the core systems first." As they spoke, Captain Yuna's ship filled with refugees. The sounds of crying children and worried voices echoed through the corridors. Medical teams rushed to help the injured. In her years of service, Yuna had never seen such fear in people's eyes. "Captain," her communications officer called out. "New contact. 3 Arcadian ships just jumped into the system." Yuna looked at the passenger count. They had only rescued half of the waiting civilians. But if they stayed longer, they might not escape at all. The weight of command pressed down on her shoulders like a physical thing. "Launch countermeasures," she ordered. "Get our point defense guns online. We're not leaving without a full load of survivors." The Mercy shuddered as enemy fire struck their shields. Yuna's crew worked quickly, their training showing in every swift movement. They had drilled for emergencies, but no one had expected to face an alien invasion. Meanwhile, Commander Ta-hyun organized Earth's defense. He moved ships into position around key points in the solar system, creating a defensive network. But the numbers were against them. The Arcadian fleet was vast, with technology humans had never seen before. "They think we're weak," Ta-hyun told his staff. "They expect us to surrender. But they don't understand humans very well." In space around New Sol Colony, Captain Yuna's ship finished loading the last refugees. Her shields were almost gone, but her gunners had managed to damage one of the Arcadian ships. The aliens seemed surprised by the fierce resistance from what they had thought would be easy prey. "All civilians secured," her crew reported. "But our engines are damaged. We're running at 60% power." Yuna set her jaw firmly. "Then we make do with 60%. Plot a course to Earth. We're getting these people to safety." As the Mercy limped away from the colony, more Arcadian ships appeared. But they weren't alone. Earth's first response fleet had arrived, led by Commander Ta-hyun's flagship. The space around New Sol Colony lit up with weapons fire. "This is just the beginning." Admiral Hansol's voice came over the general frequency. "But remember, we're not fighting for territory or resources. We're fighting for our right to exist. And that makes us more dangerous than these aliens can imagine." The first battle for humanity's survival was ending. But the real war was just beginning. And on ships across the galaxy, humans prepared to show the Arcadian Empire exactly how dangerous they could be. Dr. Du Young stared at her computer screen in the underground laboratory beneath Seoul. It was 3 in the morning, but she hadn't slept in 2 days. The numbers on her screen showed something impossible, something that might save humanity. "Engineer Sung-min," she called to her colleague. "Please check these calculations again." Sung-min walked over, his tired eyes scanning the data. The lab was quiet except for the hum of quantum computers. After the first attacks, the government had moved all important research facilities underground. "This can't be right," Sung Min said, leaning closer to the screen. According to these readings, the Arcadian shields have a fundamental weakness. They never discovered quantum entanglement technology. Do Young nodded. Their ships use advanced energy shields, but they work on standard physics. They don't understand quantum mechanics the way we do. She pulled up another screen showing the battle data from New Sol Colony. The Arcadian ships were powerful, but their technology followed predictable patterns. Humans had taken a different path in their scientific development. Get Admiral Hansol on the secure line, Du Young said. I think we just found our advantage. The Admiral's face appeared on the main screen minutes later. He looked exhausted, but his eyes sharpened when Du Young explained her discovery. The Arcadians think they're more advanced than us, she explained. But they missed something important. Earth scientists focused on quantum physics for the last 50 years. We understand things about reality that the aliens never discovered. Can you make a weapon from this? Hansol asked directly. Du Young shared a look with Sung Min. We already have the basic technology. Our quantum communication network uses principles the Arcadians don't understand. If we adapt it into a weapons system. How long? The Admiral interrupted. 3 months, Sung Min answered. Maybe less if we get all the resources we need. Hansol's expression turned grim. Earth's defenses are holding for now, but we're losing the outer colonies one by one. You have 1 month, Doctor. Make it work. The next weeks passed in a blur of activity. The underground lab filled with new equipment and personnel. Du Young and Sung Min worked around the clock, testing and refining their designs. Project Phoenix, Du Young said one evening, looking at the prototype weapon they had built. That's what we'll call it, because humanity will rise from these ashes stronger than before. The device looked simple, a small cylinder filled with quantum processors and specialized crystals. But its effect on energy fields was anything but simple. In tests, it could completely disrupt shield systems by exploiting quantum uncertainties. The Arcadians think they understand warfare, Sung Min said as they prepared for the final test. They think bigger ships and stronger shields make them invincible, but they never considered that a younger species might discover something they missed. The test chamber hummed as they activated a captured piece of Arcadian shield technology. Du Young held her breath as she pressed the activation key on Project Phoenix. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the alien shield flickered and disappeared completely. It works, she whispered. Then louder, it works. Get the Admiral immediately. As the call went through, Du Young looked at the readings again. Project Phoenix didn't just disable the alien shields, it made them impossible to maintain. The quantum disruption would spread from ship to ship through their linked shield network. We did it, Sung Min said quietly. We found their weakness. Do Young nodded, but her expression remained serious. Now comes the hard part. We have to build enough of these devices to turn the tide of the war, and we have to do it before the Arcadians reach Earth. The quantum processors hummed in the background, a sound that now carried hope for humanity's survival. The Arcadians had started this war thinking humans were primitive and weak. They were about to learn just how wrong they were. Major Jinwoo checked his oxygen meter one final time. His stealth suit blended perfectly with the dark metal of the Arcadian command ship's hull. 2 other members of his team floated silently beside him, waiting for his signal. Remember, he whispered into his comm unit, we need their battle plans. Dr. Du Young needs to know where they'll strike next. Failure is not an option. The massive alien ship moved slowly through space, its crew unaware of the 3 humans magnetically attached to its outer hull. Jinwoo had studied their patrol patterns for weeks. He knew they had exactly 12 minutes until the next security scan. Cutting begins now, he said quietly. His laser tool made no sound in the vacuum of space as it carved through the hull. The metal was strong, but human ingenuity had found ways around stronger barriers. Inside the ship, red emergency lights flashed as the section's air pressure dropped. Jinwoo, and his team slipped through the hole before the emergency shields could activate. They were in. Meanwhile, back on Earth, Dr. Du Young's team worked frantically to build more quantum disruptors. The first tests had been successful, but they needed time. Time they didn't have. Another colony lost, Engineer Sung Min reported grimly. The Arcadian fleet is getting closer to Earth every day. Do Young didn't look up from her work. Then we work faster. Major Jinwoo's mission has to succeed. We need to know where to deploy these devices for maximum effect. On the Arcadian ship, Jinwoo's team moved silently through the corridors. Their suits' advanced systems translated the alien writing on the walls. They needed to reach the command center, 3 levels up. Contact, one of his team whispered. 2 guards approaching. Jinwoo pressed against the wall, his suit automatically matching the metal's color and texture. The aliens walked past, their 4 eyes scanning the corridor, but seeing nothing unusual. Human stealth technology had come a long way. They reached the command center's outer door. Jinwoo pulled out a device developed specifically for this mission. It would hack the alien security systems using principles of quantum computing that the Arcadians had never mastered. 30 seconds until the next patrol, his second team member warned. The door slid open silently. Inside, alien officers worked at their stations, monitoring battle plans and fleet movements. Jinwoo's team moved like shadows, their suits making them nearly invisible. Data port located, Jinwoo whispered. He connected their quantum drive to the alien computer. The technology difference worked in their favor. The Arcadian systems had no defense against quantum-based intrusion. Suddenly, alarms blared. Not for them, but for something else. The main screen lit up with new information. Jinwoo's translator worked quickly, converting the alien text. "They're launching the final attack," he said urgently. "The main fleet is heading for Earth. They're committing everything they have." As his drive copied the battle plans, Jinwoo made a decision. The original mission called for a quiet retreat, but they needed to do more. "Plant the charges," he ordered. "We're going to give them something else to worry about." His team worked quickly, placing small but powerful explosives at key points in the command center. The aliens remained focused on their screens, preparing for their greatest attack. They never noticed the invisible humans moving among them. "Download complete," Jinwoo confirmed. "Time to go." They slipped out as quietly as they had entered. Only when they were safely away in their hidden shuttle did Jinwoo press the detonator. The Arcadian command ship's bridge erupted in a series of explosions. "Sending data to Earth now," he reported as their ship raced through hyperspace. "Tell Dr. Du Young she'll have everything she needs." The mission was successful, but the real battle was just beginning. The Arcadians were coming for Earth with everything they had. Humanity would need every advantage they could get to survive what was coming. Captain Yuna watched the battle display from the bridge of her new ship, the Defiant. The Arcadian fleet outnumbered her forces 5-1, but she smiled. They were falling for her trap. "Enemy ships approaching exactly as predicted," her tactical officer reported. "They're following standard attack patterns." "That's their weakness," Yuna said. "They never change their tactics. They think their superior numbers and technology make them invincible." The Arcadian ships moved in a perfect formation toward Earth's defense line. They had no way of knowing that Yuna had studied their every move, learned their every habit. She had lost her first ship saving civilians. Now it was time for payback. "Launch Operation Ghost Dance," she ordered. Hidden asteroid mines activated, breaking apart to reveal hundreds of small attack drones. The Arcadian ships, focused on the main defense fleet, didn't notice the threat until it was too late. Their rigid formation became their downfall as the drones targeted their engines. Meanwhile, at the edge of the solar system, Commander Ta Hyun led a different kind of battle. His ships used hit-and-run tactics against Arcadian supply lines. Small, fast human vessels appeared from nowhere, struck hard, and vanished again. "The aliens don't understand guerrilla warfare," Ta Hyun told his crews. They expect every battle to be straightforward. That's not how humans fight. His forces destroyed 3 supply convoys in a single day. The Arcadians responded by sending heavy warships to guard their supplies, exactly as Tahyun wanted. Every warship protecting supplies was one less ship attacking Earth. Back in the main battle, Yuna's trap was working perfectly. The Arcadian ships broke formation to deal with the drone attacks. Their perfect coordination fell apart. "They're splitting up," her tactical officer said. "Moving exactly as you predicted, Captain." Yuna nodded. "Launch all fighters. Target their command ships first. Without central control, their fleet units can't coordinate." Human fighters swarmed from hidden positions. Unlike the rigid Arcadian pilots, human pilots were creative and unpredictable. They flew patterns that seemed chaotic, but were carefully planned to confuse the enemy. An Arcadian commander appeared on the main screen. "Your tactics are illogical," he said. "You cannot win. Our technology is superior." Superior technology means nothing without superior thinking, Yuna replied calmly. Then she cut the transmission and ordered her ships to attack. The battle that followed shocked the Arcadian fleet. Human ships didn't fight according to any patterns they recognized. Each captain made independent decisions, adapting instantly to changes in the battle. The aliens had never faced an enemy that fought this way. "Their shields are weakening," Yuna's tactical officer reported. "They're trying to regroup, but our fighters are keeping them separated." In the outer system, Commander Tahyun's forces struck another supply line. This time, they captured an entire convoy of Arcadian ships. The alien crews were stunned to be defeated by ships they considered primitive. "Send word to Earth," Tahyun ordered. "Tell them Phase 1 is complete. The enemy's supply lines are in chaos." As reports of victories came in from across the solar system, Admiral Hansol received an urgent message from Dr. Du-young. Project Phoenix was ready for full deployment. The real counterattack could begin. The Arcadians had started this war thinking humans were weak. Now they were learning that humanity's greatest strength wasn't in their ships or weapons. It was in their ability to adapt, to think creatively, and to never give up. "The enemy is retreating," Yuna announced to her crew. The bridge erupted in cheers, but she raised her hand for silence. "This is just the beginning. Now we show them why they should never have attacked Earth." Dr. Du-young stood in the command center of Earth's main defense station. Around her, technicians prepared to activate hundreds of quantum disruptors. The devices looked small, but each one contained technology that would change the course of the war. "All units report ready," Engineer Sungmin announced. "The delivery ships are in position." Admiral Hansol's face appeared on the main screen. "The Arcadian main fleet is approaching Alpha Centauri. They think they're about to destroy our largest remaining colony. Instead, they're walking into our trap." Do-young checked the final calculations one more time. The quantum network was stable. Each disruptor was linked to the others, ready to create a chain reaction that would spread through the enemy fleet. "Remember," she told the command staff, "once we activate the system, we only have one chance. The Arcadians will realize what we're doing and try to adapt. We must disable as many ships as possible in the first wave." In space near Alpha Centauri, Captain Yuna's fleet waited in hiding behind the system's outer planets. Her ships carried the first wave of quantum disruptors. The devices were hidden among normal weapons, ready to surprise the enemy. "Arcadian fleet entering the system," her sensors officer reported. 500 ships. They're moving in standard attack formation." Yuna smiled. The aliens never learned. Their predictable tactics would make this easier. "All ships prepare to execute Operation Phoenix. Wait for my signal." The Arcadian fleet moved confidently toward the colony. Their sensors showed only a small defensive force. They had no idea that humanity's entire counterattack relied on their overconfidence. Back on Earth, Du-young watched the tactical display. "They're in position. All quantum disruptors are synchronized." "Ready on your order, Admiral." Hansol nodded grimly. Captain Yuna, you may begin. Yuna's fleet emerged from hiding, charging straight at the enemy. The Arcadians responded exactly as expected, activating their powerful energy shields and preparing for an easy victory. Now, Yuna ordered, launch the disruptors. Hundreds of small devices shot from the human ships. The Arcadians ignored them, thinking they were normal missiles that would bounce off their shields. They didn't realize these weapons operated on principles they had never imagined. Do Young pressed the activation key. Quantum network engaging. Starting chain reaction. At first, nothing seemed to happen. Then, one by one, the Arcadian ship shields began to flicker and die. The quantum disruption spread from ship to ship through their linked shield network, just as Du Young had predicted. Their shields are failing. Some men shouted. The quantum effect is working perfectly. The Arcadian fleet fell into chaos. Without their protective shields, they were vulnerable to normal weapons. Yuna's forces struck hard, targeting the suddenly defenseless enemy ships. This is impossible. An Arcadian commander transmitted. Our shields are the strongest in the galaxy. What have you done? We did what humans always do, Du Young said quietly. Though the enemy couldn't hear her, we found a way to survive. We adapted. We overcame. The battle turned into a rout. The mighty Arcadian fleet, which had never known defeat, broke apart and fled. More than half their ships were destroyed or disabled before they could escape. Project Phoenix is a complete success, Han Sol announced to all Earth forces. The Arcadians just learned that technological superiority means nothing against human ingenuity, and this is only the beginning. As victory celebrations began across Earth and its colonies, Du Young remained focused on her screens. She knew the Arcadians would try to find a way around the quantum disruptors. But by then, humanity would have something new ready. The aliens were about to learn why it was a terrible mistake to push humans into a corner. Major Jinwoo sat in a dark meeting room, sharing the intelligence he had gathered from the Arcadian command ship. Admiral Han Sol and other military leaders listened carefully as he explained what he had found. The Arcadian Empire isn't as united as we thought, Jinwoo said, pointing to the data on the screen. Many of their member species don't want this war. They only fight because they fear the Empire's leaders. Han Sol leaned forward, studying the information. Can we use this? We already are, Jinwoo replied. After their defeat at Alpha Centauri, 3 alien species have secretly contacted us. They want to break away from the Empire. The news spread quickly through Earth's military command. The Arcadians' biggest advantage had always been their numbers. But now that advantage was beginning to crumble. In space, Captain Yuna led the assault on occupied human colonies. Her fleet, now equipped with quantum disruptors, moved from system to system. The Arcadian defenders couldn't stop them. Another colony liberated, she reported after a successful battle. The enemy tried to adapt to our quantum weapons, but Dr. Du Young's improvements worked perfectly. Their new shields failed just like the old ones. The freed colonists celebrated as human ships entered orbit. Many had lived under Arcadian control for months. They shared stories of how the aliens had underestimated human resistance, how they never understood why humans kept fighting even when victory seemed impossible. Commander Ta Hyun's forces pressed the advantage in their own way. His ships struck deep into Arcadian territory, disrupting their government and military communications. The aliens had never faced an enemy that could fight on so many fronts at once. They don't understand humans, Ta Hyun told his crews. They think we should have surrendered when they proved they were stronger. They never realized that humans become most dangerous when defeat seems certain. The Arcadian Empire began to break apart. Species that had been forced to join their coalition saw their chance for freedom. Some secretly helped human forces. Others openly rebelled against their Arcadian masters. Back on the recently liberated New Sol colony, Lieutenant Je-won, now promoted to captain, watched reconstruction crews rebuild what the Arcadians had destroyed. The colony had changed. Its buildings were stronger now, its defenses more powerful. Like all of humanity, it had learned from the invasion. The Arcadians thought their technology made them invincible, she told a group of returning colonists. They never understood that humans have something stronger than advanced weapons. We have determination. We have creativity. And most importantly, we have each other. Admiral Hansol received regular updates as more Arcadian territories fell. The mighty empire that had threatened to destroy humanity was collapsing. Their rigid military structure couldn't adapt to human tactics. Their strict hierarchy couldn't match human flexibility. Send word to all fleets, Hansol ordered. It's time for the final push. We take the fight to their home world. The combined human fleet gathered for the largest operation of the war. Ships that had defended Earth now prepared to attack the heart of the Arcadian Empire. The aliens who had once dismissed humans as primitive now watched in fear as humanity's forces approached their capital. They started this war thinking we were weak, Jinwu said as the fleet prepared to jump. They're about to learn just how wrong they were. Humanity doesn't just survive. We emerge stronger from every challenge. The final battle for the galaxy was about to begin. And this time, humanity wasn't fighting for survival. They were fighting to ensure that no species would ever again mistake human determination for weakness. Admiral Hansol stood before the massive windows of the Arcadian Imperial Palace. Just days ago, this had been the center of an empire that threatened humanity. Now it was the site of their surrender. The peace terms are fair, he told the assembled Arcadian leaders. More fair than many humans wanted them to be. But we're not here for revenge. We're here to build a better galaxy. The Arcadian Supreme Commander, who had once threatened to destroy Earth, now signed the peace treaty with shaking hands. His mighty empire had crumbled in less than a year, defeated by a species he had considered primitive. We were wrong about humans, the Supreme Commander admitted. We thought technological superiority meant certain victory. We never understood what we were truly fighting against. Back on Earth, Dr. Du Young and Engineer Sungmin prepared to reveal their latest breakthrough. The quantum technology that had won the war had led to an even greater discovery. The quantum network doesn't just disable shields, Du Young explained to the World Council. It can create stable pathways through space. We can build faster ships, better communications, and defenses that no weapon can break. Sungmin added, the Arcadians thought they were teaching us a lesson. Instead, they pushed humanity to achieve things they never imagined possible. In orbit around the newly rebuilt New Sol colony, Captain Jaiwon watched as the first diplomatic ships arrived. Representatives from dozens of alien species, once part of the Arcadian Empire, now came to establish peaceful relations with Earth. They're nervous, her first officer observed as the ships approached. They should be, Jaiwon replied. But they'll learn what the Arcadians learned. Humans make better friends than enemies. Commander Tahan's forces had transformed into a peacekeeping fleet, helping maintain stability as the galaxy adjusted to its new reality. Captain Yuna led efforts to share human technology with friendly alien species, ensuring that no empire could ever again threaten galactic peace. Major Jinwu's intelligence service had also evolved. It now worked to prevent conflicts before they could start, using the understanding of alien cultures he had gained during the war. The galaxy is changing, he reported to Admiral Hansol. Other species are studying us, trying to understand how we achieved victory. They're learning that humanity's greatest weapon was never our technology, it was our spirit. In the 5 years since the war's end, humanity had expanded faster and further than ever before. But this time, they spread knowledge and cooperation instead of meeting resistance and fear. The quantum network connected distant worlds, creating trade and cultural links that strengthened peace. Dr. Du Young's quantum technology revolutionized space travel. Ships could now cross the galaxy in days instead of months. Earth became a center of scientific advancement, with aliens and humans working together to explore new frontiers. Admiral Hansol stood on the observation deck of Earth's Orbital Command. the same place where he had first learned of the Arcadian attack. The view was different now. Ships of all species moved peacefully through space, their designs a mixture of human and alien technology. "We could have sought revenge," he said to the assembled human and alien leaders. "We could have built an empire of our own. But humanity chose a different path. We chose to turn enemies into friends, to transform defeat into progress." The galaxy would remember the war for centuries to come, not just for humanity's victory, but for what came after. The species that had once been dismissed as primitive had emerged as leaders in science, culture, and diplomacy. No alien empire would ever again mistake humanity's peaceful nature for weakness. The story of the Arcadian War would be taught on 1,000 worlds, a reminder that the most dangerous force in the galaxy was not advanced technology or overwhelming numbers. It was the unbreakable human spirit.